Namaskar. Welcome to the Embassy Weekly Online. Situation in Kazakhstan gained much of the world's attention this week. As you know, on January 6, according to the decision of the Collective Security Council of the Collective Security Treaty Organization, in response to the relevant request by President of Kazakhstan, the CSTO Collective Peacekeeping Forces, comprising of troops from Armenia, Belarus, Kyrgyzstan, Russia and Tajikistan, were temporarily sent to the Republic of Kazakhstan. Regardless of what you might have heard from the Western sources, their main task was to secure important state and military facilities, as well as rendering assistance to the local authorities. As it was stressed by Russian President Vladimir Putin during his meeting with Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu on January 13, the CSTO peacekeepers have played a significant role in stabilizing the situation in Kazakhstan, bringing it back to normal and restoring law and order there. We performed a very important task through a concerted effort. Now it is time to go home. We have fulfilled our mission, he said. Today the CSTO Collective Peacekeeping Forces contingents are engaged in operation for returning home. It is expected that all of the troops will get back to their permanent deployment positions in their countries by January 19. On January 14, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov held a press conference on the outcomes of the Russian foreign policy in 2021. In his introductory remarks, the minister stressed that the situation in the world remained complicated and the conflict potential is building up, becoming some kind of a trend largely shaped by the Western countries, which continue their policy of undermining the architecture of international relations based on the UN Charter, as well as replacing international law with their own rules and imposing them on others, striving to build a new world order. Of course, one of the pressing issues that came up at the press conference were talks on the legally binding security guarantees aimed at precluding absolutely any further eastward movement of NATO and deployment of threatening weapon systems near the Russian borders. The minister noted that at the relevant meetings on January 10 in Geneva with the US colleagues and on January 12 in Brussels with the NATO representatives, Russia outlined its requirements and provided detailed arguments about the need to focus on stopping the expansion of one bloc of countries at the expense of the interests of other states of the European continent.
I would like to reiterate that we need legally binding guarantees as political commitments that were enshrined back in the 90s, and any kind of oral promises have never been fulfilled by our Western partners, and they are not going to do that now. This is a topic worth discussion on its own. We have talked about the fact that such an approach is unacceptable. We are awaiting a written response from our colleagues. We believe that our colleagues have understood the need to do this expeditiously and to answer us in writing. We will not wait forever, and the plans to drag their heels over this process are in place. We are aware that the prospects of reaching a consensus depends on the US.
Our proposal is aimed at shrinking military confrontation and de-escalate the situation in Europe, but NATO is doing exactly the opposite. They are expanding the presence of their land troop and aviation in the territories adjacent to Ukraine. They conduct exercises in the Black Sea, and the number of such exercises have grown dramatically over the past few years, and many other things have happened. And it gives us ground to believe that this lofty rhetoric of the West, that if Russia does not comply with the West's demand regarding what it can do with its own troops in its own territory, which is absurd in itself, Then, in the coming 2 or 3 months, the West would increase their activities of fast response and special operations troops around our borders.
Besides, the minister touched upon other areas of Russia's foreign policy activities, such as integration cooperation within the Eurasian Economic Union, developing relations with partners in the Asian continent, as well as constructive dialogue within the G20, BRICS and the SCO. Elaborating on the Russian-Indian cooperation, Foreign Minister stated that Russia highly values its relations with India. It is of no coincidence that they are called Special and Privileged Strategic Partnership. We will develop it in full scale, he said. Touching upon the results of the bilateral summit held in December 2021 in New Delhi, Mr. Lavrov noted that the leaders of the both countries were able to hold very useful talks. Full video of the foreign minister's press conference and the full transcript of it are available at the links provided in description. On January 13, a detachment of ships of the Russia's Pacific Fleet, consisting of the Varyak missile cruiser, the large anti-submarine ship Admiral Tributs, and the large sea tanker Boris Butoma, made a planned call at the port of Cochin in India. For the period of entry into the waters of the Indian port, a joint Russian-Indian naval exercise, PASEX, was conducted. The ships of the Russian Pacific Fleet and the Indian Navy have worked out the organization of communication, information exchange, and joint maneuvering. After the exercise, the Russian ships left the port of Cochin and went to perform the tasks of a long-distance campaign. Russian company Atommash has started manufacturing a nuclear reactor and steam generators for unit number 6 of the Kudankulam nuclear power plant in India. The reactor and steam generator shells have passed the inspection, and their items are at the initial operations of the manufacturing cycle. Within the contract for the 5th and the 6th power units of the Kudankulam NPP, Russia will manufacture and supply 2 nuclear reactors with internals and an upper block, 2 sets of steam generators, reactor coolant pump set bodies, main circulation piping, emergency core cooling system tanks, passive core fluting system tanks, and 2 pressurizers. The total weight of the items will be about 6,000 tons. That would be all for today. Thank you very much for watching us. Stay tuned to our website and social media, and see you online.